Tesla AI, including robotaxis and the humanoid robot, are both bigger than anyone imagines and happening much sooner than anyone believes. This week, Elon Musk left a number of clues on X. Of course, these will be completely ignored by most investors until it's too late, and also shared more details in an interview regarding the humanoid robot and overall AI efforts. Watch the interview in a sec, but first, let's look at some of Elon's posts, some of the breadcrumbs he left this week on X. In response to a post on X, which we'll read in a moment, Elon Musk writes, quote, "I have come to the perhaps obvious conclusion that accelerating GDP growth is essential." He adds that the Department of Government Efficiency has and will do great work to postpone the day of bankruptcy for America, but the profligacy of government means that only radical improvements in productivity can save the United States. This was in response to Barrett, who wrote, "I wonder if this is why Elon has somewhat moved away from politics in order to accelerate GDP growth with humanoid robots." So obvious things are obvious, and this is definitely not a new thought. The US, like many countries around the world, has out-of-control spending, ballooning debt, unsustainable interest repayments. And the way through this is not through austerity, but prosperity. Enter humanoid robots. In response to Elon's post, he was asked how soon can humanoid robots have an actual effect on the GDP of any country. Elon's estimate, 4 to 5 years. Now put a pin in that. He added that robot cars, aka FSD, should have a noticeable effect in 1 to 2 years. Every Tesla investor watching, which is almost everybody, should pause the video here and take a look at their Tesla valuation model, assuming you have one. If you don't, you are fucking up. And look at your estimates, your base case and your bull case for both autonomy and the humanoid robot, and see how closely your estimates align with Musk. How many years until autonomy has a meaningful financial impact on Tesla? Of course, Musk is referring to GDP, which is a whole other fucking level, but they'll definitely correlate. Can confirm. My Patreon subscribers at the investor level and above can also confirm my current valuation model, the base case. FSD certainly does have an impact in the next couple of years, but noticeable, really, a little while longer. The bull case, however, bang in line. As for humanoid robots, 4 to 5 years, fairly closely in line, although I am a little bit more skeptical than Musk on the exact timing here. So we're getting a bit nerdy here, but trust me, it's necessary. US GDP 2023, not far off $30 trillion. I'll leave it up to you guys and girls watching at home to decide what a noticeable impact on this number would be, but I just wanted to add that important context. Now, before we get to Musk's interview in just one sec, Mike Lee asks, can Optimus be programmed to balance the federal budget? This was in response to Musk describing Optimus as the biggest product ever. Elon responding, it will do so by greatly increasing GDP. And just to remind you guys, that was GDP right on screen now, and that was just the US, not globally. Global GDP well in excess of $100 trillion. I'm of the strong opinion that most people, and especially most investors, won't believe it until they see it, although I highly recommend anticipating, seeing around the corner, and seizing the opportunity before it becomes, quote, noticeable. Now over to Elon Musk discussing humanoid robots and AI in general.
You said recently tens of billions of robots, but that's decades away.
At least 1 decade away.
It's got to be more than that.
It's going to grow very fast.
Why do you think that?
I think humanoid robots will be the biggest product ever. The demand will be insatiable.
You said that
everyone's going to want one. It's like basically who wouldn't want their own personal C-3PO R2-D2?
No,
everyone's going to want one.
You've said that, and your goal. You've also said is to produce 1 million robots. I think by 2030. That's what I had you on the record as saying.
I think that's a reasonable target.
And then start towards sustainable abundance, which you can get into. But I wonder. We've been talking about autonomous and how long it takes to train the automobile to be able to be the equivalent of or exceed human capabilities. But what about these robots? To the extent that how much training are they going to need to actually to be able to do various different types of tasks? Isn't that something that's going to take a long time? Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of compute resources, and it'll take time. I think there's certain threshold breakthroughs that we think we can achieve, where if Optimus can watch videos, YouTube videos or how-to videos or whatever, and based on that video, just like a human can, learn how to do that thing, then you really have task extensibility that is dramatic. Because then it can learn anything very quickly. So I think we'll get there in the next.
We're not there yet, though.
We're not there yet.
You're relying on a significant uptick in terms of learning and training.
Yeah, no, that's
compute.
that's why I'm calling it a very significant threshold. Would be
Understood.
the ability to learn from watching a video. Just so
Right.
But at the point
as opposed to watching a human, right? Or having a human sort of train it right now with a task.
I mean, right now we're training Optimus to do like primitive tasks where a human in a kind of a what's called a mocap suit is and sort of cameras on the head is moving in the way that the robot would move to, say, pick up an object or open a door, or the basic tasks, throw a ball, dance, and we need to I think that's needed to sort of bootstrap the intelligence so you can have the basic functions. Then where I think it gets very interesting and very much like humans is that you want the robot to self-play. Right. So you say, how does a child learn? Well, a child has toys, and a child plays with the toys, plays with the blocks, at some point figures out how to put the triangle in the triangle hole and the circle in the circle hole by
unless that child eventually grows up to be a Tesla short seller. Unlike most babies, Tesla short sellers haven't in fact learned by playing. They haven't learned by receiving feedback that every time they short Tesla stock, they get their financial anus ruined. Most humans, at least intelligent humans, receive feedback from the world by playing, by doing, by experimenting, and by learning. One of the biggest teachers is pain. Oh, not doing that again. But if you're a Tesla short seller, that circuitry seems to be broken. Now, regarding the actual training and learning with humanoid robots, this will be a huge threshold. I won't get too nerdy, but every human brain has what's referred to as mirror neurons. We can watch someone else do something else and then imagine what it would be like for us to do that. We can learn by watching others, not just from our own experience by playing, etc. And now imagine a humanoid robot can watch videos, as Musk points out, but not just watch videos. Imagine it could watch them at like 100 times speed. Think how quickly new skills can be acquired once this learning capability is up and running, so to speak. Shit is going to get wild.
By doing it over and over again, and this self-play, once you have a lot of robots, you can do this self-play, which is that you just put the robot in a room with toys and have the robot literally have the robot play with toys.
And it will learn.
Yeah. And you have to have a reward function, say like, okay, the goal of the robot is to put, that classic child's toy, you put the circle in the circle hole, the square in the square hole, triangle in triangle hole, and keep doing it until it works. And the reward function is succeeding. And
there are no advances needed to accomplish that now? I mean, no advances in AI or just compute and things of that nature that can happen?
There are some advances needed, but I don't think these are insurmountable. I think we can solve these things in the next few years.
Okay. So at that time when millions of these things are coming off of a line like we just saw with cars, they're going to be fully autonomous. They're going to come off, and the way you've described it, they're going to be able to come in my house, and I'm going to be able to say, all right, do the dishes. Now I need you to walk the dog.
Absolutely.
Hold the baby.
In fact, you really won't even need to. It'll figure out what you probably want and do what you probably want without you even having to ask.
How many GPUs are you going to need for that?
Well, quite a few GPUs. We do have our own program called Dojo for training, which I think will be helpful.
Right now it's contributing about 5% towards self-driving, right?
Yeah. So
is that the one in New York State?
Yeah, it's in New York. So, but we expect to still buy a lot of GPUs from NVIDIA, some from AMD, and maybe from others. And as long as NVIDIA is better than what we make, we'll keep buying from NVIDIA.
Is that the case right now?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously buying them for XAI, the Memphis.
Big time.
Big time, right?
Yeah, XAI is building the most powerful. We have the most powerful. I think we have the most powerful training cluster in the world right now, which is over 200,000 GPUs training coherently.
You're at 200,000 already now.
Yes.
There in Memphis, that facility that
yes.
you put. Okay.
Yes.
And where are you going?
And we'll be at the million GPU level in a location just near Memphis.
Wait, a million GPUs for a new location, or 800,000 additional GPUs?
A million of the next generation GPUs.
So Blackwell.
Well, yeah.
Wait, are you building that now?
Yeah.
How are you powering that?
It's a gigawatt class system.
What do you have the power lined up for that?
Yeah.
You do. Natural
but
gas.
It is a hard problem.
Which is the hard problem? Finding the power.
Getting a gigawatt, bringing a gigawatt online.
Yeah.
and actually having the gigawatts of power be reliable, because you get like power fluctuations in the grid and that whatnot. So we're using, actually I just posted something online today, which is a whole bunch of Tesla Megapacks batteries that are important for power conditioning the grid. So the GPUs do not like power fluctuations. They like it power steady. So, and then if sometimes there's slight brownouts or if there's a blackout, you want to be able to carry through that like an uninterruptible power supply. So, so we've got a lot of Megapacks there to support
that.
It'll be the first gigawatt.
By the way, just a quick side note on Tesla. Demand for Tesla Megapacks, specifically for gigantic AI training superclusters, is going to be off the charts. Trillions of dollars currently being invested and soon to be invested in AI. Biggest expense by far is compute. And you can't afford to have your training compute go down. Meaning you need stable power, meaning you need gigantic batteries as a huge buffer. A few years ago, I don't think anyone was having conversations about the massive demand for Tesla Megapacks, not on the back of updating the grid, transitioning the world to sustainable energy, but as a necessary piece of hardware to stabilize gigantic AI training clusters. But here we fucking are.
Gigawatt class training cluster in the world, and the most powerful training cluster.
When's that going to be done?
Hopefully in about 6 months, maybe 9 months.
Mm-hmm. And that's largely powering Grok.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just powering Grok.
Right, which continues to advance. I mean, I use it frequently.
Yeah.
I saw you using that on the Joe, was it with Rogan when you were using that mode? What is that mode where it's
Unhinged.
all sassy and curses all the time?
Well, if you want to have fun at parties, Grok Unhinged mode is pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's next level, yeah.
Yeah. Is power going to be the gating issue for our ability to continue to advance in AI?
Yeah, I think a few years ago I made a very obvious prediction, which is that the limitation on AI will be chips, and it's still kind of chips today. Then it will be electrical equipment because you need to take power that might be at 300,000 volts all the way down to 400 volts for the computer. So you need step-down transformers and a lot of them, and a lot of cabling and wiring and fuses and it's a lot of transformers essentially. And the electrical transformer industry is not used to big changes in demand.
No, there's a shortage of transformers.
There literally is a shortage of transformers. And then, funnily enough, the AI algorithm is called a transformer. And then our Optimus robot is named after Optimus Prime. That's a transformer robot.
It's a lot.
So we have transformers for transformers for transformers.
Right. But it's the one transformer is the one in shortage that the others need, obviously.
And then as we solve the transformer shortage, there will be the fundamental electricity generation shortage.
And are we there yet, or are we going to be there soon?
We're getting there soon.
We are.
My guess is people are going to start hitting challenges with power generation maybe by middle of next year. End of next year.
Even with deregulation and an effort being made to perhaps move permits along more quickly.
You have to say, like, how many power plants are getting built and how fast can you build a power plant?
Right. China seems to be building them pretty quickly.
China has so many power plants that have been built and are being built. I don't think people quite realize this. I posted on my X account just the graph of U.S. power generation versus China power generation. And China power generation is looks like a rocket going to orbit, and U.S. power generation is flat.
Right.
So I think by the end of this year, China will have about 2.5 times the power output of the United States, and it's headed towards maybe 3 or 4 times the power output of the United States.
It's funny when you think about China. I mean, EVs, autonomous, we talked about batteries, solar, power generation. By the way, even biotechnology recently, I don't know if you saw Pfizer's licensing cancer drugs.
Yeah.
They seem to be, I don't know, I'll ask you the question. Are they ahead of us in certain areas that are important?
The United States still has an advantage in breakthrough innovation, but so it's the United States, and I think it's somewhat of a cultural thing, which is that to have breakthrough innovation, you have to question authority. Fundamentally, your breakthrough, you're questioning the conventional wisdom when you do a breakthrough innovation.
Right.
In China, that they don't generally like to question the authority, or it's not as encouraged as it is in the U.S. Questioning authority.
But they do seem to be good at finding something and then making it better.
Yeah, I do want to emphasize that the sheer number of smart, talented people in in China who work very hard is amazing. The amount of, there's just the sheer quantity of talent. I'm an admirer of China's capabilities. I think most people outside of China do not understand the power of China. It really is something special.
Yeah. In the time we have left, I would like to sort of keep the focus on XAI. First of all, you spoke earlier about wanting more control at Tesla. Would you ever consider merging XAI into Tesla? It would be a way, obviously, they could issue shares to you and conceivably would increase your overall economics. Is that a possibility?
Well, I guess anything's possible, but it would be difficult to speculate about something. Tesla's a publicly traded stock. So.
It is. I would think to get a majority of the minority vote or whatever you might need might be not easy.
It's not out of the question, but that would have to be something that the Tesla shareholders would want to vote for.
So, not out of the question, good. Also extremely challenging. Personally, I've been banging the drum on this for fuck knows how long, since the early days of XAO when first announced. I'm like, brother, can Tesla buy a big chunk, please? Here's a poll, November 23rd, 2023. I asked, obviously with my own very strong feelings on this. If you own Tesla stock, do you, in principle, support Tesla investing in XAI? An overwhelming majority of people voting yes. A little bit of context, perhaps. November 2023, same month. XAI post-money valuation, a whopping $673 million. Boy, oh boy. Would have been nice for Tesla to get a slice of this. Of course, it would have been an absolute pain in the fucking ass. And honestly, I think there's enough retarded money managers out there, big institutional investors, that actually getting shareholder approval, probably less than 50% chance, even though this was a no-brainer of no-brainers. And clearly retail investors very much on the same page. Just over 1 year later, December 2024, XAI raised at a post-money valuation of $50 billion. I'm going to say this again. 29th of November, 2023. Post-money valuation, $673 million. Less than 13 months later, post-money valuation, $50 billion. Are you guys good at math? Because I'm not. But that's roughly a 75 times, not percent, times increase in valuation in 13 months. Now, given the phenomenal rate of progress with AI and AI-related valuations, a month ago, Elon Musk's XAO Holdings in talks to raise $20 billion. The funding would value the company at over $120 billion, which, for those of you who aren't mathematically inclined, is almost 200 times its post-money valuation back in November 2023, less than 2 years ago. One more time, 200 times. Wow. So sure, would have been nice for Tesla to invest in XAI a while ago, but again, it would have required shareholder approval. And like I said, it's probably less than 50% chance that actually happens because there's a lot of fucking retards who own Tesla stock. A lot. That said, at a $120 billion potential valuation right now, or last month, there's still plenty of room to grow for XAI. Clearly on its way to a $1+ trillion valuation over the medium to long term. Now, if Tesla were to acquire XAI, as in acquire, geez, brother, some very deep pockets would be required. Tesla's current market cap, say roughly 10 times that of what XAI might be currently valued at.
Understood. So, but it's not something you're thinking about doing.
It's not currently there are no plans to do so.
Right.
It's not out of the question, but obviously would require Tesla shareholder support for that.
Another way you could obviously increase your control would be to get that comp plan passed in Delaware, or through the Delaware Supreme Court, or a new one. You haven't been paid, I believe, since 2018.
Yeah.
So where are you
7 years.
Yeah, where are you on comp?
7 years with zero pay,
Although, to be fair, if it goes through, you're going to have an enormous payday. It'll be fine. It'll be more money than anybody's ever made.
I suppose so. But let's just say that if any CEO of the Fortune 500 were to agree to a plan like the one that I agreed to, you should buy the stock of that company immediately.
I remembered.
That's a pretty good point. Entirely results-based.
The time, to be fair, the stock was the targets were so far above where the stock was, and obviously they were met.
Yes.
Is the board working to your knowledge on another potential plan if in fact the one never gets out of Delaware, the Supreme Court rules against the chancellor's ruling?
I don't want to speak on behalf of the board, but I'm sure it's on their mind, but I can't comment on Tesla board deliberations.
You said earlier, I mean, you want to stay as CEO. Why not? You know, I've wondered, Elon, given all the heat you've gotten in a lot of ways, why not sort of become like an Ellison-like figure at Tesla? Obviously, you're a lot younger, but still, he's very influential at Oracle. But, you know, he's not CEO and he doesn't get the attention.
He isn't the CEO?
No, he's not. Safra's the CEO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At least not in title. That's my point.
I think maybe a better term for, I'm a huge fan of Larry Ellison, he's a good friend of mine, owner.
Say again?
Owner, I think, would be,
yes.
He's the owner of Oracle.
Yes, he is. He has a lot of it.
Yeah.
Finally, I want to...
He's not the CEO, he's just the owner.
He's the owner.
Yeah.
It's a big percentage, a lot higher than yours, actually, at Tesla.
Yes, an impressive percentage at Oracle.
Finally, so many things we haven't gotten to, but we're trying to keep to your time. Are we ready for the changes that AI is going to bring to this society? You know, I try in my job every day to sort of follow them. Obviously, they've been pushed aside to a certain extent by issues of the day, but it's coming fast. And
it's coming very fast. I mean, I feel like we're in the big bang of the intelligence explosion. Like we have courtside seats to the big bang of intelligence explosion. One thing's for sure, it won't be boring.
No.
So if
you don't seem to be saying there's a 20% chance of annihilation as often anymore.
I think we should always consider that there's some chance of a bad outcome to try to protect against the bad outcome. We don't want to be complacent and say that everything's just going to be fine. There's no chance of a bad outcome. I sort of think of this maybe in movie terms as like, are we in a Star Trek movie or like, are we in a Gene Roddenberry movie or a James Cameron movie?
Right.
Which movie are we in here? And you could either have a Roddenberry or a Cameron outcome. And I think in this case, we want the Roddenberry outcome.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair comment. Great analogy, by the way, in the big bang of AI progress. Absolutely right. Next few years, definitely the next decade and beyond are going to be fucking wild. And I think Tesla's going to play an outsized part in this big bang. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.